Exciting new segment here on TYT Sports. We got the raggedy old hat. No offense, Dan, if this is a hat is actually of sentimental value to you. It's a little raggedy. But we've got 5 subjects in here to debate. So in this clip, I'm going to be the adjudicator. Jason, spell adjudicator.
E-J-U.
Already wrong.
No, already wrong. So you are already on the back foot.
I-J-U.
5.
That'd be adjudicator. Adjudicator.
Right, whatever. You'd still got it wrong. There's subjects in here that are
For you, it's I, right, J-E-W. I, Jude, Decatur.
In this hat, there is some subjects. We have not seen either of them, but we are going to pick a subject, and since I am the adjudicator on this first one, you two guys are going to have to argue, and I'm going to say who has the most compelling argument. So it's very interesting because Ben believes that he's always right, even when he's wrong. So now I have the option to choose whether that is actually the case. So I guess this subject right here, given Ben is...
So who picked these subjects?
Our executive producer, Dan.
The team, the sports staff.
Yeah, sports staff.
But
so
you guys don't
I'm going to give you the ability to pick the subject since you've got age, and then I will decide how it's going to go forward. So let's take a look. All right, so this is the question. What wins championships? Offense or defense?
Ben, do you have a specific side you'd like to
I could take either side.
You could take either side. Jason, are you confident enough to believe that you could take either side?
I want to challenge myself. Ben, I'm going to take offense.
All right.
Okay.
Offense is going to be Jason. I'll write this down.
Well, you're on offense. You have the ball. You go first.
All right,
I was
offense.
going to say age before beauty, but all right.
All right, so let me just give some more context on this. I will decide who has the most compelling argument based on the fact of what I hear. That's it.
What else?
There's nothing else. Well, I never know.
What else would you decide?
You might need to make a few points in there. You might need to throw some stats at me. I don't give a shit about stats.
For the love of God.
I'm Scottish. I don't care about stats.
Start.
I don't care about the American stats. Let's just go with it. Jason,
right.
What wins championships? Tell me why offense wins championships.
So depending on the sport you're playing, defense can't necessarily win a championship because defense can't score points, but that's not true for every single sport. For example, in the NFL, you can score points on defense, but lo and behold, offense is where your runs, your points, touchdowns, whatever sport, it doesn't matter. You need to put up something on the board because without it, you cannot actually win. There's no possible way. So when it comes down to great offense, we've seen dominant offensive teams like the New England Patriots under Tom Brady's reign, where they can just rack up the scoreboard and demolish teams. Offense also can lead to a psychological mindset against the defense that when they keep scoring nonstop over and over and over again, it gets inside the defense's head that they don't have as much pressure on themselves to hold up because they know my baseball team can score 20 runs tonight. My football team can score 40 points tonight. My world football team soccer club can score 8 goals tonight. Germany beat Brazil 7-1. They didn't need any defense if they wanted to beat Brazil that game. They had enough offense to simply sit back and coast to the next round of the World Cup final. I think that was the World Cup final, semifinal game against Brazil?
Yep.
Yes. So I guess for the argument of the NFL's sake, because defense can score points, I guess I have to leave that out of my argument. But in terms of almost every other sport in the world, even if it's gaming, Ben, offense puts runs, points on the board, and when push comes to shove, when you get to look up and go scoreboard, that doesn't mean you won 1-0. That could mean you won 40-0.
Oh, so pointing, part of the argument was pointing at the scoreboard.
Yes.
Part of it. I don't know how I'm going to counter that. That's a tricky one.
He did mention football and their world football. I know you got to play to your strengths.
I needed to adjudicate.
In this era of sabermetrics, where the men who lead most organizations are keenly aware of what makes a player good, what makes a player great, the value of a player. Everyone values offense in the exact same manner, basically. So the great value of defense is that it's what makes you stand out. There have been, first of all, you mentioned the great Tom Brady Patriots. Their 2 greatest offensive years, they did not win the Super Bowl. Why didn't they win the Super Bowl? Because, well, I mean, eventually there is a defense that can stop that offense more often than not. The Denver Broncos losing to the Seattle Seahawks in a clip we talked about earlier this year. That was defense not just beating offense, that was defense annihilating offense. If you have a truly great defensive team in any sport, it puts you in a position to win. A great offense and a bad defense, I don't believe, has ever won a championship at any level. You have to have a good defense. It is what sets you apart. And because if you have the right valuation of defense, There's a really good chance that most other people in the league won't have that evaluation, and it will put you in a different class. And we know that pitching and defense wins in baseball. Everybody talked about how terrific it was the way the Golden State Warriors shot the ball and moved the ball. What ultimately turned that series around, what took them from a 2-1 deficit into a 4-2 lead, was their ability to stop and wear down LeBron James by throwing one 6'6", 6'8" guy after another, and he ran out of gas, and their defense won that championship for them. Of course, you have to be able to score. Great defenses that have no offense won't win a championship either. But a mediocre offense and a great defense can win. We've seen it again and again and again. And in almost every sport, it is impossible to win a championship without at least, at a bare minimum, a really strong defense.
So a very heavy...
Oh, and also defenses, I think they get to point at the scoreboard, too. I'm not sure.
They can. They're allowed. They are allowed. That's true. That's only one specific part of the argument. It's interesting you brought up the baseball thing because Kansas City Royals had the best defense in all of baseball, yet they came short of winning a World Series, in part because of Madison Bumgarner's, if you're going to use pitching as a defensive
Yeah, I was going to say, they lost to another pitching and defense team. The two teams that got there were both great defensive teams.
Defensive teams, but one was supremely better than the other, and the San Francisco Giants simply had a better offense than that of the Kansas City Royals. They were able to put up more runs when push came to shove.
Then
the Royals did.
There's two components to baseball. There is generating the runs, and there's run prevention, and they are equal in their value. Every run you don't allow
Except
score.
when I look at the Yankees' dominance in the late '90s and early 2000s, that was a star-studded, stacked lineup. It's, I guess, possibly one of the last strong offensive lineups that has won a World Series. But that's also how sabermetrics has changed baseball. And again, in football, we've already discussed. I like that you brought up the point that the Patriots did lose to the Giants as when Tom Brady threw 5,000 touchdown passes in a season. But you look back on teams like the Steelers who had the steel curtain. That's very true. But when we look at Joe Flacco's performances for the Baltimore Ravens, who have a very good defense but needed their offense to get them there, their offense still was a major catalyst. Joe Flacco was a major catalyst into the Baltimore Ravens winning a championship on an even defensive-minded team.
Yeah, it was a blown defensive play, in fact, that enabled them to get to the Super Bowl.
I shouldn't say anything that you can't, but it's unfair to say that it was the Golden State Warriors' defense that wore down LeBron James, and that was the sole reason that they won the championship when they were the best offensive team by far.
I didn't say it was the sole reason. I said it
turned the tide.
It's what turned it around.
But that doesn't mean it won them the championship.
A lot of great offensive teams in the NBA. What made Golden State stand out this year, what made them exceptional, was the fact that, oh, look at this. They're also the first or second best defensive team in the league, and they won all year.
All right, so you both made I'm going to be deadly straightforward in audience, very compelling arguments. I need to this is why we love this show, because you will not get like arguments like that from both sides. But the one thing that I felt just in this example was touched upon more so in one side was this keyword right here.
Championship.
This isn't what wins games. This is what wins championships, right? So I do agree on this side. Statistically, you have to win games by attacking. You have to score goals. You have to score points. You have to score touchdowns. But that can win you games. What wins championships, what wins the overall, which gets that ultimate title for me, is a strong defense. And I think I feel that you made a great argument in that situation, Jason. And I think that when it comes down to pointing to the scoreboard, and I look at teams like Germany in the World Cup, fantastic offensive performance against Brazil. They didn't have that much of a great offensive performance, but they held up crucially against Argentina when they had to in the final, to the point that they gave themselves an opportunity to score. Yeah. It's a tiresome argument because you need to have both. But I think that when it comes as a good offense enough to inspire your defense to start performing, I don't know. I think if you've got a great defense or great defenses, I would say, it inspires your attacking side of your team to basically thrive and perform a little bit better. So I have to say that in this situation, this is just my opinion. I think that Ben takes that one just because it came down to championships. But it doesn't matter what I think.
Wasn't nearly as close as you're saying, but thank you.
It doesn't matter what I think. It's the fans. We want the audience to decide.
Oh, yeah.
Because many people may disagree with me. I just wanted to give my opinion on it, and I wanted some airtime on the clip because I've got a big ego and I'm arrogant and I don't care. So let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. What wins championships? Do you agree with Jason in his offensive argument? Do you agree with
I didn't think
Ben?
that was offensive. I thought it was pretty nice about it.
His offensive-sided argument, his offense. What about Ben and his defense? I hate that chant.
Defense wins championship.
Keep in mind, Francis played what position in soccer?
Defender.
Ah.